After the release of his latest album, which receives poor reviews, American rock star John Allman decides he needs a break from everything. On a whim, he buys a secluded house on a cliff in Cyprus, hoping to escape the stress and criticism. The area is quiet, with stunning ocean views, and he believes it's the perfect place to clear his mind. A few days after settling in, John notices a man standing on the edge of the cliff near his property. Assuming he's a paparazzo trying to sneak a photo, John yells at him to go away. To his horror, the man doesn't respond but instead jumps off the cliff. The local police soon arrive, led by Captain Manoli, who explains to John that this cliff has a dark reputation. It's known as a popular spot for people who come to end their lives. That's when John realizes why the house was so affordable. Many people have used this location to take their final steps. Manoli explains that suicides happen here frequently, sometimes several times in a month. Manoli gives John his phone number, advising him to call if he sees anyone else near the cliff. The captain also mentions that the cliff has become so infamous that people even travel from other places just to come here and jump. John heads into town to buy some food. When he reaches a small shop, he asks the shop owner for a home delivery, surprising her when he tells her which house he lives in. As he looks around, he spots a tin of ready-made pasta sauce and tries to buy it. The shop owner, however, is eager to teach him the basics of a good pasta sauce and tries to explain the ingredients he should use. John, who hasn't even made a list, seems indifferent and asks her to pick everything he'll need and just send it to his place. The next day, Melina, a singer who works at a local restaurant, arrives at John's house to deliver the groceries. She finds him outside, passed out and drunk, with tools scattered around. It turns out he'd been trying to build a fence along the edge of the cliff near his house, wanting to make the area safer and stop anyone from jumping off. Melina recognizes him as soon as she steps inside his home and sees his belongings. When John wakes up, he explains to her that he's moved to Cyprus to escape his past life. Noticing John's loneliness, Melina suggests introducing him to some local women around his age, hoping to help him feel less isolated. Later, John calls his manager, Jimmy, back in the UK. Jimmy has been worried, as John left without any explanation. Over the phone, John reveals his location, assuring Jimmy that he's safe and finally putting his manager's mind at ease. When the mother of the man who had recently jumped off the cliff arrives there, looking heartbroken and lost, John immediately calls Manoli for help. Manoli arrives, comforts the grieving mother, and later invites John to join him at the tavern in town. There, they settle in to watch Melina perform, her voice filling the cozy room with warmth. During the evening, Manoli introduces John to a table of locals, including Sia, a woman John had met long ago during a visit to Cyprus. Sia is now a doctor on the island, and their shared past brings back memories. The locals soon recognize John as a rock star and start reminiscing about his most famous song, a romantic ballad about falling in love on the beach. When they ask him if the song was inspired by someone, John brushes it off, claiming it wasn't based on anyone real. Yet, those who know him see right through this, especially Sia, who senses the truth in the song's lyrics. After a while, John leaves the tavern, but Sia follows him outside. They confront each other about the years they've been apart, with John bringing up how she had acted like she didn't recognize him earlier. She asks him what has brought him back to Cyprus, but John has no answer. The silence between them grows, and, without planning to, they lean into a passionate kiss. Sia ends up staying the night at John's house, sharing an intimate moment from their past, even if only for one night. Early the next morning, she quietly sneaks back to town before anyone else can notice. As they reconnect, John calls her by her full name, Athanasia, but he can't resist his old habit of teasing her by calling her Euthanasia. The playful name holds a hint of their shared past, one that neither has truly let go. The next morning, Sia heads to the church, where her sister Kola, who also happens to be the shop owner, notices something unusual. It doesn't take long for Kola to pick up on the clues and realize that Sia has just come from spending the night at John's place. Kola gives her a knowing look, though Sia tries to brush it off. Later that day, John convinces Sia to join him for dinner that evening. That night, while Sia's colleagues chat, the conversation shifts to John's past relationships. They mention how he once dated big names like Cameron Diaz, Tyra Banks, and other famous models throughout his singing career. Meanwhile, Melina, the singer and part-time delivery girl, drops by John's house with some after-sun lotion, having heard he got sunburned while swimming. As she hands it over, John manages to convince her to help him prepare dinner for his guests. During their conversation, John opens up to Melina, revealing that his hit song, "Girl on the Beach," was inspired by a love he found on the island years ago. He tells her how that woman had seen him for who he truly was, long before the fame and attention clouded his life. As evening falls, Sia arrives earlier than expected and finds John in the middle of getting dressed. Before they can fully settle into their evening, Sia's daughter suddenly emerges from the kitchen, having been helping Melina with the dinner preparations. In that moment, Sia realizes that Melina is actually her daughter, who's been working at the local restaurant. The situation quickly takes an awkward turn when Manoli's sister shows up unexpectedly, adding another layer of confusion. Misinterpreting the scene, Sia is struck by the thought that John may be involved with both Melina and Manoli's sister. Feeling hurt and betrayed, she storms out, leaving John bewildered and unable to explain the mix-up. Years ago, John and Sia had been deeply in love and wanted to be together. However, everything changed when Sia followed John to New York City to tell him about her unexpected pregnancy. When she arrived, she was overwhelmed by the sight of his lifestyle, surrounded by adoring groupies and swept up in the chaos of fame. Feeling like there was no place for her or their child in his life, she lost her courage and decided not to tell him. Instead, she returned to Cyprus and told her daughter, Melina, that her father had been just a passing tourist. John, meanwhile, never knew he had a child. As Melina grew older, she occasionally asked her grandmother about her father, but her questions were always met with silence. One evening at the tavern, Melina invites John to sing a duet of his famous song, "Girl on the Beach," with her. As they sing, John begins to improvise. He speaks of a love that was hidden away and hints at a daughter he never knew he had. The song takes a personal turn as John reveals that Sia had raised their child alone, never telling him the truth. This revelation shocks Melina, who realizes for the first time that John is her father. In a whirlwind of emotions, Melina lashes out at Sia for keeping her father's identity a secret. The tension rises until Melina's grandmother steps in, urging both mother and daughter to sit down and have a real conversation. Sia finally opens up, explaining that she had believed John's life as a rock star wasn't suitable for raising a child. She had worried that his fame and chaotic lifestyle would prevent him from being the stable, loving father Melina deserved. Though her intentions were to protect Melina, Sia's choice had kept both father and daughter in the dark for years. John, inspired by recent events and a renewed sense of purpose, shares a new song he's written with his manager, Jimmy. Jimmy is excited by the song, confident it could mark a successful comeback for John. One day, John spots a woman standing dangerously close to the cliff's edge. He approaches her carefully, sensing she might be in distress. Gently, he convinces her to step away, and they begin to talk. He learns her name is Anna, and she is pregnant, feeling overwhelmed and unsure about her next steps. John offers her a place to stay for the night, letting her sleep on his sofa. The following morning, John encourages Anna to tell her parents about the pregnancy, and he accompanies her for support. When they arrive, it's revealed that Anna's father is none other than Manoli, who is deeply shocked by the news. Manoli reacts strongly, becoming so agitated that his wife has to step in, telling him to leave and calm down. With emotions running high, John takes Manoli back to his house, and together, they spend the day working on the cliffside fence, now a project with personal significance for Manoli. They focus on building, sharing a quiet understanding as they work, until news arrives that Anna has gone into labor. At the hospital, John brings a bouquet of flowers and a balloon to celebrate Anna's new baby. As he arrives, Sia spots him with the gifts and assumes they're meant for her. Frustrated and feeling hurt, she confronts him, thinking he's sending mixed signals. John waits for her to finish, then gently explains that the flowers and balloon are for Anna and her newborn, not for her. He also tells Sia that his time in Cyprus is coming to an end and he plans to leave soon, a statement that leaves her with mixed emotions. As a last attempt to reach Sia, Melina helps John learn the lyrics to a popular serenade, guiding him through every note and phrase. Together with many locals, John stands outside Sia's home, singing the heartfelt serenade, pouring his feelings into each line. Though visibly touched, Sia remains hesitant and cannot bring herself to open the door. Refusing to give up, John later gives the new song he's written to Melina. She takes it to Sia, who reads the lyrics and is moved by the sincerity and depth of John's feelings. Finally, understanding his regret and his commitment to being part of her life, Sia finds him and offers her forgiveness. Time passes, and Melina's own musical talent blossoms under Jimmy's management. With his guidance, she launches a promising career, stepping into the spotlight in her own right. Meanwhile, John has finally found peace in Cyprus, happily sharing his cliffside home with Sia. His life is now filled with meaningful connections to the locals who have become like family. Free from the chaos of fame, John lives a simpler life, cherishing his days alongside Sia and the community that welcomed him. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.